In 2025, Richmond, Virginia was ranked the 5th hottest housing market in the country by Realtor.com and the 9th hottest by Zillow. This means home values are climbing, rental demand is booming, and investors are cashing in. So in this video, I'm breaking down exactly why Richmond is such a strong market for real estate investors. And at the end, I'll even walk through the numbers of some real life deals that I've helped clients purchase in the past few months. Now, the first reason investors should invest in Richmond is affordability. Anyone who knows even the slightest bit about economics knows the biggest problem in US housing is affordability. And that includes investors too, especially with interest rates rising on top of prices. You can take advantage of this demand for affordable housing by investing in many different areas of Richmond that offer affordability and provide this low cost of housing to renters if you're buying a rental or home buyers if you flip properties. So RVA is a hot market overall, but the most competitive section of our market is houses under $250,000 in good renovated condition. These houses almost always get multiple offers and go over asking. But this is not always the case with houses that need moderate to heavy rehabs priced around $200,000 or less. So you can enter a less competitive section of the market, and then when you're complete, you'll have equity growing for you each day because of this constant need for affordable housing that isn't going anywhere anytime soon. The median home sale in the Richmond metro area is around $375,000 right now for the entire area. But there are a ton of safe, affordable suburbs and neighborhoods inside or outside the city with renovated properties selling for much less. Here's a rundown of what you can expect for an updated property in a working class neighborhood in Richmond City, Henrico, or Chesterfield County. 2 beds can go for about $160,000 to $200,000. 3 beds can sell around $200,000 to $235,000. 4 beds can get down around $275,000, and 5 beds around $350,000 to $375,000. Okay, the second reason you should consider investing in the Richmond area is proven growth and demand. If you're looking into investing in a new market, one of the first things you should look for is a track record of population and also price growth. Because if the population doesn't keep increasing, the demand can't constantly cause prices to keep going up. Over the past 10 years, the Richmond metro population has grown 12.5%, or an average of 1.25% each year, while never experiencing negative growth in a year. This trend is expected to increase up to 19% over the next 10 years, due to more buyers in Northern Virginia and DC seeking affordability and job opportunities from federal layoffs. Over the past 10 years, Richmond's median sales price went from $189,000 to $375,000, representing a 98.5% total increase and an annualized growth rate of 7.1%. Compared to nationally, when the median sales price 10 years ago was $289,000 and is now $420,000. This represents only 45% total growth and 3.75% average annual appreciation. Okay, the third reason to invest in Richmond is a strong and diverse economy. Richmond is home to major employers in healthcare, finance, tech, and government jobs. VCU not only provides a ton of students that increase rental demand, but also provides many jobs in healthcare, medical research, and education to the area. Since COVID, many people now have the flexibility to work from home or only need to commute to the office a few days a week. This shift has contributed to a surge in residents with government jobs in the DC area and others benefiting from the robust job economy in the highly developed Northern Virginia region, without having to pay the extreme housing prices in those areas. For these reasons, Richmond, Virginia has an unemployment rate of just 3.2% compared to the national average of 4.1%, making RVA's unemployment rate about 25% lower. Job growth has also outpaced the national average, with Richmond experiencing 3.1% employment growth last year compared to just 1.4% nationally. This is an important stat to consider because if just the market's population is growing and not the jobs and income, the residents will not be able to afford higher rent each year, causing flat rent growth and flat price growth. Now, the fourth reason to invest in Richmond is overall location and investor-friendly state. Now, Richmond is actually a really good location because you're not too close to the ocean to have to worry about any flooding, but only around a 2-hour drive east to Virginia Beach. Then to the west, at most a 2-hour drive that way to get to the Blue Ridge Mountains. Also, it rarely ever snows here, so you don't have to worry about snow removal or snow and ice related property damage. coverage. This makes Richmond's insurance pretty affordable compared to other areas in the South. For most rental properties, the average insurance cost should be around $100 a month or less. Property taxes around the Richmond area are also slightly lower compared to the national average, having an effective tax rate of 0.85% compared to 1.02%. Now, in terms of the state of Virginia as a whole, it's not the most landlord-friendly state, but if you had to categorize it between landlord-friendly versus tenant-friendly, you would lean on the landlord side. Neither the state or the city impose any rent control laws, and if an eviction needs to be filed, it moves along quickly to get them out. Another extremely important thing to research when deciding where to invest is the area's crime rate. Now, Richmond has been known to have high crime, consistently ranking among the top 5 cities with the most crime per capita in the 90s. But this has actually decreased since the 2000s from the city's economy improving. And the state of Virginia recently ranked as one of the toughest states on crime, citing that the state gives out the longest average prison sentences for violent offenders out of every state. So hopefully this trend will continue throughout the Richmond area in the future. But most of the best investment properties are going to be in the suburbs and the outskirts of Richmond anyway, where a local realtor can help guide you to areas with low crime rates. So speaking of a local realtor, I want to show y'all a couple of deals that I have helped a few of my clients recently purchase as investment properties, and go through all the numbers to help you see what the current market conditions look like. So this is the first property. My client bought this late last year, and here's a rundown of the stats. It's in Western Henrico County in a great area right across from a hospital and in a top school district in the RVA area. Henrico County wraps around the city of Richmond, so this isn't far from the city center at all, maybe like 10 minutes. It's a small 3-bed, 1-bath house at only 864 square foot. It was built in the early 50s and was listed at the time for $250,000. When he made his initial offer, it had only been listed a few days and had a couple other offers. So he decided to offer $100 over asking, all cash and as is. It got accepted and he found a few things during the inspection period he wasn't expecting. I think it needed some electrical updates and a new roof. So those were the main reasons we were able to renegotiate $5,000 off the price. Then after finishing his rehab, he planned on holding it long term. Here are some of the pictures of when it was listed. A nice little house, has a carport and a decent sized front yard. He ended up replacing all the windows. Here's the living room. He refinished all the hardwood floors and painted the entire house. Here's the kitchen. He replaced everything in here, all the cabinets, counter, backsplash, floors, and all new appliances. In one of the bedrooms, he had this door cut out here, and on the other side was a pantry in the kitchen, so he drywalled this up. Another bedroom, he had to fix this section of floors here. For the bathroom, I'm pretty sure he was able to just clean this tile up and paint it. Really big backyard. This picture was taken on the back wall where this fence ended. Here's a couple of pictures of the kitchen when he finished. I thought he sent me more pictures after the rehab, but I couldn't find it anymore. So all new floors, appliances, cabinets and counters look really good. He moved the water heater out of the kitchen, then put the oven there, and then put a dishwasher where the oven was. So for the final numbers, he ended up spending around $30,000 for everything. He did a lot of the work himself and subbed out the rest. He didn't use a GC. Other than the cosmetic stuff, he replaced the roof, redid some of the electrical, and he might have changed the HVAC too. But the day after he was finished with the rehab, he had a friend that wanted to rent it that would pay $2,000 a month, and he was happy with that. It never ended up actually being listed for rent, so potentially he could have gotten more than $2,000 on the open market. For the returns, he got a solid 6.3% cash on cash return. That's not a bad return for not using any debt, and if the property appreciates 3 to 4% a year, he'll get a steady, low risk, 10% annual return plus the tax benefits. Total cash flow is almost $1,500 a month, and I think a conservative ARV would be about $300,000, so he gained a nice $25,000 in equity. Here's the breakdown of the income and expenses. This is with putting 15% of the rent away for repairs and vacancy. He decided to manage the property himself, so there's no management fee taken out. Only $500 a month in total expenses. And this is what taxes and insurance look like for this kind of property. Now, the second property I want to show y'all, another one of my clients takes a totally different approach. And that's why I picked these two, is because the properties are in totally different areas and the investors have totally different strategies. So this property is in Petersburg, Virginia, which is directly south of downtown Richmond. Petersburg as a whole is a rougher, low income area, but this particular property is actually in the nicest neighborhood in all of Petersburg. So he felt comfortable with its location. This is a bigger bigger house than the first with 3 beds, 1.5 baths, and about 1,500 square foot. It was built in the 50s and was listed for $199,000. He ended up getting this property for $165,000. It was listed originally at $220,000 and dropped down to $199,000. It went pending with another buyer but fell out of contract and had to be relisted. Seeing all of that, we knew they were potentially motivated to take a lower offer, and they ended up accepting. Also, this area is more balanced, maybe even leaning a little towards a buyer's market. Where closer to Richmond, around Henrico, is definitely a seller's market. That's another reason he was able to get it at this price. So he got it for $165,000 using a hard money loan, and his strategy is the BRRRR method. So he's gonna fix it up, get it rented, then refinance into a DSCR loan and hold it as a rental. Here are some of the pictures of when it was listed. Nice cape on a corner lot. The home didn't have any furniture when we went, so maybe it was taken out when it went under contract for the first time. This house he just bought not long ago, so he's in the process of renovating it now, but we can go through and talk about what he's getting done and what it looked like when he bought it. These floors looked pretty rough. He's getting those refinished now and painting the whole place. Here's one of the upstairs bedrooms. You can see some damage to the ceiling. This carpet is getting replaced too. Downstairs bathroom, they plan on keeping this tile and painting it. Same thing with the vanity, paint it. Get a new medicine cabinet and light. This is the other bedroom upstairs. You can see the hardwood a little bit better in this picture. This room also had a hole in the drywall that they're cutting out and replacing. For the kitchen, he's redoing most of it. New counters. Not sure if he's doing new appliances, but new cabinets. These old ones right here are actually metal. This floor is just sheet vinyl. It had a lot of tears in it. He's replacing this with LVP. Same thing with the half bath upstairs. He's changing the sheet vinyl for LVP. Here are the final numbers. He got quoted $32,500 by the GC. Other than the inside stuff we just talked about, he's getting a new roof put on and a new heat pump installed as well. He plans on renting it for $2,100. The ARV after he's finished is $240,000. So his hard money lender did an appraisal and gave him this ARV already, so he may stick with this one or try to get another after he's finished. The appraiser also gave it a rental value of $2,050, so he's confident in getting $2,100 for rent. After he refinances, he'll be at a 12.7% cash on cash return, which in today's market with interest rates is very good. His total cash flow each month after putting money away for repairs and vacancy will be a little over $300. If you're out there trying to do the BRRRR method right now, you know how hard it is to refinance into 75% LTV and still cash flow anything, let alone $300 a month. And his total money left in the deal after refinancing is about $29,000. I know the ideal BRRRR is being able to take out all of your money, but if you compare this to what he would have to leave in the traditional purchase, he would have to put 20% down on the purchase price of $165,000. So that's $33,000 plus the rehab costs out of pocket, another $33,000. After closing costs, he'd be all in for a traditional purchase at $70,000. So definitely a lot better to leave half that amount and still cash flow $300 a month. Here's the breakdown of the entire deal. Let's do a quick high-level overview of how the BRRRR method works. Now I have the rehab amount just added to the purchase price because it's easier to calculate with how the loan is. So he bought the property for $165,000 and put $32,500 in rehab. After closing costs, he's all in for about $200,000. So he has a hard money loan, which is a short-term interest-only loan with points and fees. Here are those fees he pays up front, and then he pays this interest payment each month until he pays the loan off. Most lenders have a seasoning period of 3 to 6 months. That just means you can't refinance into a different loan until you've owned the property for at least 3 to 6 months. Okay, so that's what this portion right here is showing, and also this first number on the cash flow. It's showing what your expenses and cash flow would look like if you finish the rehab and get a tenant in place before your seasoning period is up and you can't refinance yet. In this situation, he would pretty much break even. So once the seasoning period is up, you want to refinance into a new long-term 30-year fixed loan and get out of this high-interest hard money loan. This can be a conventional loan. In this situation, he's using a DSCR loan. For either one, lenders will loan you 75% of the property's value. Now that it's fixed up, it's worth more. That's why this ARV number is very important when doing a BRRRR. So in this situation, it's an ARV of 240, so they loan him 75% 10% of 240, which is $180,000. You take this $180,000 loan and pay off your previous hard money loan and keep the rest. This leaves you with about $30,000 in the deal because you were all in for $200,000 and had about $10K in closing costs for the 2 loans. So $210,000 minus $180,000 gives you the $30,000 left that you have to keep in the property. Sometimes if you get a great deal, you can get all of your money back or even get paid when refinancing. The reason this is tough though is because even if you find a deal with that much margin between the purchase price and ARV to get all your money back, the higher your ARV, the higher your loan amount is, and the harder it is to cash flow, especially with high rates. So even though you may not have any money in the property up front, you may need to put money into it each month to cover expenses. If you can find one that covers both taking out all your money and having a positive cash flow, that is the perfect BRRRR, and since interest rates have risen, that is extremely hard to complete in this market. But all of that to say, congratulations to him, he got a damn good deal. So if you want to continue doing research on the Richmond housing market, in both of these videos, I go over multiple affordable areas perfect for your next investment. Or if you're ready to jump in and invest in Richmond, all of my information is in the description for you to contact me, whether you need help buying or selling.